Andrea Kane, and I'm here with you to do a quick syllabus review. There are some items that I really need to cover with you so that you are aware of that. A syllabus is basically a contract between you and I. You as a student, myself as an instructor, what you can expect of me, what I can expect of you. And hopefully we can work things out to make it beneficial for all. Our class this summer is HSC 114. We are in section 75100. It is for the summer. We have start dates officially of June 8th and an end date officially of August the 2nd. That is a Monday. However, I will permit coursework to be submitted as late as August the 5th at 11:30 p.m. So if by chance you don't have something complete, you will have a couple of extra days there at the end of the class to be able to submit the information. But I will be turning in final grades to the registrar on Friday, August the 6th. So please make sure that before the 5th at 11:30 p.m., before that you submit any late or missing items so that I can make sure that they get graded and that your final grade reflects all of your information that you've submitted. So that is very important, very, very important. Make sure that you have it in written down on your calendar or in your phone, somewhere to remind you that everything has to be done and submitted before 11:30 p.m. on Thursday, August 4th. And that's probably one of the most important things that you will hear me talk about in this video. All right, so moving on. My email is here listed for you. That is the best way to contact me. So if you need to communicate with me, please use email. That reaches me on my cell phone. It reaches me on my computer. It is really, truly our best way to communicate one-to-one. If I'm going to send out information to everyone, it will happen through Brightspace announcements, and that's what I've got down here is Brightspace announcements. As I mentioned in my intro video, I'm currently at home because my office at Calmer is being renovated, so eventually I will be back on campus, but for all of this summer session, I will be at home. And that's why email is the best way to reach me, not by phone or any other way. Because I can't be on campus, I don't have campus office hours. However, I do keep Zoom office hours. And those are Tuesday afternoons from 1:30 to 4:30 and Thursday evenings from 6 to 9. Those are your opportunities where I will be in front of my computer at my desk and I will be on Zoom and you can get into the system and interact with me. And at the end of this video, I'll show you where you can go to find the Zoom information so that you can go ahead and hop on one of those. If by chance neither of those times work for you, or days, times, however that works out, you're welcome to email me and I will set up a Zoom outside of that. But those are the days and times of every week, pretty much, that you can guarantee that I will be available to you if you want to Zoom. As I said, the best method to reach me is my NICC email, and the best way for me to reach you all as a group is announcements in Brightspace, and again, I'll show you where those are at. The course guide information is here, and it's also in Brightspace in case you're interested in all of that. I'm going to skim through it, so hang on, don't get busy. All right, you can come back and look at that at your leisure. I'm not going to cover a lot of detail with that. We already talked about the book. You will be getting an access code if you haven't already, so check your NICC email. The book is free to you. It's available online, so make sure you have that information and that you access the book and that you're comfortable with that. If you have any questions or concerns, excuse me, you please reach out and I'll do my best to help you. This is entirely an online course. We don't have any Zoom classes, so it's up to you to get everything done. I'm here to encourage you, but definitely at the end of the day, this is on you. Grading procedures and scale, this is just standard NICC grading scale. It is what's used for the Health Information Technology program. It's what I use to teach all of my medical terminology classes. And so you can look there and see the details behind the grades, the points, the percentages. We will have 10 discussions questions. They will add up to 260 points, which is 13% of your grade. You'll have 24 assignments. They will add up to 880 points, which is 45% of your grade. You will have 16 quizzes worth 800 points, which is 41% of your grade. It all adds up to 50 items, 1,940 points, 100%. I do offer an extra credit opportunity for 45 points, and so you can see that when we get to week 8, that's available to you. But this lets you know kind of what to expect. And there's details behind this again if you want to read through here about the quizzes. One thing I would bring up to you is that it is recommended that you not use a wireless connection when you're taking a test, a quiz, because if it knocks you out on a quiz, you only get one attempt, and if it knocks you out, it knocks you out. Now, if you contact me, I will work with you to try and get you a second attempt, but I'm not guaranteeing that. So make sure that you have a really good connection, and make sure you have enough time to take the quiz when you sit down to take it. Don't just sit down and think, oh, I'll do part of it now and part of it later. That isn't how it works. Once you sit down, once you open the quiz, once you start it, you have to finish it. If something happens and it's an emergency situation, please let me know, and I'll try my best to get you a second attempt. But again, that's not guaranteed, so you really need to be careful on the quizzes. Course calendar is at the end, and I'll cover that briefly. I do really appreciate feedback, so make sure that every opportunity you have to give feedback, that you do so. Assessment, NICC does do assessing of the class, of the instructor, of the students, to make sure that you're learning and that the course is hitting its objective. So just be aware of that in terms of assessment. We're really looking to make sure that this is the best course it can be. Attendance. I take attendance every week. I take it on Tuesdays, usually Tuesday morning or Tuesday afternoon. And I look back at the prior week to see, have you submitted homework? Have you been engaged in online discussions? Have you completed quizzes or assessments? If I see that you have done anything, I will give you credit for attendance. If I see you have done nothing, I will mark you as being absent unless you have notified me ahead of time that you are going to be away or that you're ill, and then I can mark you as excused. So if I see that some time has gone by that you haven't been engaged with the class, there are a couple of things in the system that you need to be aware of. The first one is that after 5 days of not accessing the class, you will get an email. And it's just set up in Brightspace to email you to say, hey, where you been? We need you to get into Brightspace and do your coursework. Doing your coursework is what will help you. Students who procrastinate, students who don't do their coursework and they get to week 7 and they have a boatload of things to do not do well in this class. So to help you along the way, if you aren't in Brightspace in this class within 5 days, the system will send you a nice reminder email of how important it is that we have you be in Brightspace and working on this class. If by chance it happens to be 14 days, it will send an email not only to you, but to whoever is your advisor, so that your advisor can reach out to you and make sure that you're okay. I also may reach out to you if I see that you haven't been engaged or that there's something maybe missing. I will email you and just say, hey, I'm checking in. Are you okay? Because really that's my concern. I want to know that you're okay, that you're learning, that everything is going all right. If something's gone wrong, I'm not asking for life details, but I want to be able to be there to be a support and a help to you. So that's where that's coming from, just to be aware. All right, so academic dishonesty. I am sure that you have heard about academic dishonesty. I hope you've never witnessed it, and I certainly hope you've never, ever participated in it. My view is that when you choose to cheat or plagiarize, you undermine yourself in terms of your professionalism, reputation, conscience, and integrity. Academic dishonesty is just not worth it. Choose to be honorable and do the right thing, regardless of internal or external pressures, and you will never regret it. I hope that you and I don't have to have a conversation about late work. Late work. This is a very important section, so please be aware of this. I am a very unique instructor at NICC in terms of how I handle late work. For me, there is no penalty to late work. So let me, having said that, let me go back through here. Your work, all of it, should be completed and submitted as scheduled on the course calendar and submitted on time. I expect that. When I do my grading, and it's typically Tuesdays or Wednesdays that I grade the prior week, if something is missing, if it's not done, there will be a 0 entered. And that is to alert you, as well as me, that it's not there. So you need to be checking your grades on a weekly basis and looking to see if there's a 0 there. If there's a 0 there, that should alert you something happened. It did not upload in the Brightspace. I didn't receive it. There's something wrong, and you'll want to investigate that. The one item I do not accept late are discussions. And that is because the discussion happens during the week of the discussion. After that week, no one goes back, except me to grade, but no one goes back to continue the discussion. So it needs to take place during that week, both your post and if you're replying to any peers. That needs to happen within those 2 days. So once the discussion closes on Monday night at 11:30 p.m., there's no way to go back and add anything to them. I don't reopen it. So just know that if you're in a tight situation and you have to choose between an assignment or a quiz versus a discussion, choose the discussion, because you can always submit the assignment or the quiz late without penalty. But the discussion, you can't. There is no makeup testing available because you can do the quizzes late. So because the assignments and quizzes can be done late, there's no makeup testing. Let's see what else. Okay, so week 8 ends on Monday, August the 2nd. You will have 3 extra days before the cutoff date occurs. When the cutoff date occurs, this says the 2nd, but it should say the 5th. It should say August 5th. And there's a statement in here about an incomplete in the course. We are not doing those anymore. You have to have an extreme reason in order to be able to qualify for an incomplete. This was very different during COVID. When COVID was at its height, we were much more flexible about incomplete. And so I need to remove the statement, but it was there from that time period. But I'm telling you now through the video, incompletes are extremely rare. So you need to have everything submitted by 11:30 p.m. on August 5th, that Thursday. So before then, make sure you have everything submitted. If you have any questions about the late work policy or the deadline or anything like that, reach out to me. But that's where it's carved in stone. Assignments. Those, again, assignments and discussions I've opened up early. So those are available for you to do at any time. Weekly assignments and weekly quizzes only open during that week. And they stay open. I mean, they can be submitted late, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And the reason for that is because of the volume of material. And because I want you to pace yourself so that you get the material, you get through it, and it's not overwhelming. If I didn't do it that way, if I opened the entire class up, you could do 8 chapters in a week, yes, but that would be extremely overwhelming, and I worry about how much would actually be retained. Whereas if we break it down into much more manageable segments, you're able to really study that, take it in, process it, master it, test on it, and then move on to the next area. So that's the reason behind that. Don't really need to cover use of technology in the classroom because it's not really applicable for what we're doing. I will just say that classroom conduct does include discussions online, and that's a place where we can all hone our professional conduct and communication skills. I expect that every student is respectful when dealing with classmates and the instructor. I encourage you to use polite language and appropriate tone of voice when communicating in person or online. And I However, the person receiving it may not receive it in the way that it was meant. And so that's where I encourage mercy. For me, in this video, you're able to see my facial expressions. You're able to hear my voice. And so you can see from my body language and hear from my voice, hopefully what's intended. When you go to email and online discussions, all of that goes away, and it makes it much easier to misunderstand, misinterpret, or to perceive offense when maybe offense was truly not meant. And I have found this in the business world, in the work world, in the healthcare world, where I was for 25 plus years. I've also found it in the academic world. So let's start out from the perspective that each of us is going to be committed to being kind, to being respectful, to doing our best to communicate in a way that is positive and helpful. And in return, we're going to receive the communications that others put out there in a way that we're not taking immediate offense. We're not being personal. We're not being hypersensitive. We're taking it in a business way, professionally looking at what's the issue, not who's the person. So just would encourage you with that, with online discussions. All right? And that's the way I approach it as an instructor as well, from my years of experience in the world. All right, so additional information. The Learning Center is awesome. If you, by chance, have not utilized the Learning Center, please reach out to them. They are a great group of people, and they are truly there to help you learn in many different ways. Reading, writing, testing, test techniques, reducing test anxiety, all those different types of things. So if you struggle in any way, or if you're just curious to see how you can up your game, reach out to the Learning Center. There are access and other types of features in Brightspace that you can ask for to be turned on. There's copyright information, netiquette. I kind of talked about netiquette a little bit when I was talking about communication. Just encourage civility, encourage acceptance of differing positions and differing perspectives and differing opinions. It's interesting to hear from each other and learn from each other. And I think that's one of the things that I hope you will take away from this course is that everyone is encouraged to share their perspective so that we can learn from that. We may not always agree, but we can learn from that. And we need to do it in a respectful manner. And the other thing that I'm going to hope that you take away from this course is that you look at each topic from every aspect. Yes, we have one that might be dear to us, but let's look at it from different angles, from different perspectives, and really try and get a full picture of what it is that the topic is and what the answers are. It's very, very rare that there's only one right answer. Although I will tell you with medical terminology there typically is. But some of the topics we will be talking about with discussions and things like that, there may be more than one. So that's where I'm coming at with that. So civility is very important. Accommodations, if you have an accommodation, please do let me know about that so that I can be supportive and encouraging and do what I can to assist you. If you don't have an accommodation and feel that maybe you need one, please reach out to the disabilities office. They are wonderful people, again, very eager to help you succeed and have the tools that you need. So please keep that in mind. And then, of course, absolutely no discrimination. So moving on to course calendar, due dates are always Mondays at 11:30 p.m. So do not wait until 11:20 on Monday night to do your discussion or to submit something. Please make sure that because understand that cutoff is at 11:30. At 11:30 it shuts. So if you are trying to hit send or save at 11:29 and 55 seconds, understand that your computer and the internet and Brightspace may not process it before 11:30. So just really, please try not to procrastinate to that level, because I do want you to succeed and turn it in and be on time. So be thinking of that ahead of time. But deadlines are typically Mondays at 11:30 p.m. and in the evening. And as I said, I grade typically on Tuesdays, maybe Wednesdays, depending on what's going on in life. All right, so if you're not sure when something's due, check Brightspace. Brightspace is your source of truth. That is where you will find all of that. If you're still not sure, shoot me an email. I will work with you. As I mentioned, discussions are open early, and I know it says 2 of your classes posted, it's actually 3. And I apologize for this got left in, and it should have been changed. I'll have to make sure I get that change made here in the near future. But make sure that you do at least 3 for peers and 1 for yourself. There are rubrics for most of the discussions. Make sure you click on the rubrics before you start so that you understand what the rubric is requiring and how that will determine your grade. And the reason why I like to use rubrics is because they are fair, because they are balanced. They simply look at content and that type of thing. They're not into perspective. They're not into a particular view. They take the subjectivity out of it. And as an instructor, I want to be fair. I want to make sure that I'm being treating all of my students in the best possible way. So for me, I utilize rubrics, and I encourage students to go out there and take a look at them before they start their assignments, so you already know how I'm going to be grading. There shouldn't be a question when it comes to grading. Now, there will be when we get to the medical terminology pronunciations. I don't have a rubric built for those, but what I'm really looking for is the medical terms themselves, especially the ones that we covered that week. How are you doing with those? So that is where I'm at with that. Week 1 videos, make sure that you take a look at those. The weekly lecture videos, I strongly suggest that you watch those. Students have told me they're very helpful, but if you don't, that is, again, your personal choice. It just might make studying a whole lot easier. Assignments. These assignments that are listed here can be started at any time because they're all open. So you can even work on them this week or next week or however you want to do that. And the reason for that is because with 8 weeks, everything is so compacted, it's so fast, and I want you to be able to work ahead whenever possible. Now, there are certain things that open weekly, and those are your assignments and your quizzes. Weekly assignments open on Tuesdays at 12:30 in the morning, and they close on Mondays at 11:30 at night. There are 2 attempts available. They are timed but not time limited, and your grade is based on the fact that you complete one of them. Okay, you need to complete 1 attempt to get your points. It's very rare that I have to manually restore them, but I do go in when I grade on Tuesdays and I change whatever grade you had from Brightspace to the full 30 points or whatever the full points are for that weekly assignment. So if you do the weekly assignment at least once, if you do it just once, I will give you the full 30 points. Because my motivation here with this one is for you to find the areas you need to study on before you take the quiz. I want you to do well on your weekly quiz. So if you take the weekly assignment and you do it at least once, I will give you full points, and that will help you identify the areas you didn't do well on that you know you need to study up on a little bit more before you take the weekly quiz. Weekly quizzes open on Thursdays at 12:30. They close on Mondays at 11:30. There are 1 attempt available. They are time limited, meaning that you only have a certain period of time to get it done in. And they are graded based on correct answers only. Brightspace automatically corrects those, scores and grades them. And the purpose is to determine your proficiency with the materials that you learned that week. So let me go back up here. Both of these are under quizzes. So when you go to click your weekly assignment, you'll be going under quizzes. It'll take you to a quiz. It opens on Tuesday, ends on Monday, can be submitted late past that time, but remember it's going to be marked 0 until you get it done. When I grade, I go back in and see, did you complete it? If you completed it, I give you the full points for it. Because my goal is for you to make sure that you have learned what areas you need to study on before the quiz. Then when you take the quiz, it is definitely a quiz. It is time limited. You only get 1 attempt, and your grade is based on your correct answers. I don't go back and look at those. It's yes or no, right or wrong. All right, so let's take a look at the course calendar now. So week 1, we will have our video reviews, our class introductions discussion. We also have a week 1 discussion of the history of medical terminology, which hopefully you'll find interesting. There will be lecture videos for chapters 1 through 5. You'll have 2 weekly assignments and 2 weekly quizzes. The first assignment will be over chapters 1 and 2, the second one over chapters 3 and 4, and same with quizzes. So that's where that breaks out. And if you're interested, this is how I put in the course objectives and the unit objectives. And you can see what the point values are worth for those. Week 2, it'll be health literacy is our discussion topic. We'll be focusing on chapters 5 and 6, which are gastroenterology, digestive system, and then moving into the endocrine system. We'll have a medical terminology pronunciation assignment, and I will be reviewing with you how to do that. I'll post a video for you right before week 2 to show you how to do that. And then you'll have assignments and quizzes, 2 sets. The first set is over chapters 5 and 6. The second set is over chapter 18. Week 3, cultural competence will be our topic for discussion. We will be covering 3 chapters, the urinary system, and then the female and male reproductive system. Again, you'll have 2 assignments and 2 quizzes because the urinary system is 1 set, and chapters 8 and 9 for reproductive systems is the second set. And then you'll also have a medical terminology pronunciation assignment. And then week 4, we're going to be talking about the nervous system and psychiatry. Our discussion will be on the stigma of mental illness. There will be lecture videos. You'll have an assignment for medical terminology pronunciation, and you'll have 2 sets of assignments and quizzes. Again, 1 set on nervous system, 1 set on psychiatry. Week 5, our discussion will be family history. We will have lecture videos on chapters 11, 12, and 20. And then we'll have an assignment on medical terminology pronunciation. You will have 3 sets, notice that, 3 sets of assignments and quizzes because there's a set for each chapter. So that's where you'll get that. And so cardiovascular, respiratory, and then we're going to slip in radiology and nuclear medicine so that you have those. Radiology and nuclear medicine are used a lot with cardiovascular and respiratory medicine. So that's why they're included here, in case you're kind of wondering, why did you put them in there? All right, so week 6, on to health disparities. We're going to talk about health disparities and ethnic ancestry and how there have been some studies that have found that there are health disparities in different ethnic ancestries. So we'll be going into depth in there and talking about that. We'll be looking at chapters 13, 14, and 19. So blood system, lymphatic and immune systems, and then we're going to add in cancer medicine. I put it here because you'll often hear about leukemias and other types like lymphoma of cancers, and it just seemed a good spot to slip it in for the summer. So we'll have that. You will have 2 sets of assignments and quizzes. The first set will be over chapters 13 and 14, the second set over chapter 19. Moving on to chapter 7. This week of chapter 7, you will have a discussion on senses and sensibility because we will be covering the musculoskeletal chapters, the skin chapter, and the eye and the ear, all those sense organs together. So you'll have lecture videos for those 3 chapters. There'll be some more medical terminology pronunciation, and you'll have assignments and quizzes, 2 sets. The first set is over chapter 15. The second set is over chapter 16 and 17. And then week 8, ta-da! You are almost done. Aren't you excited? Aren't we all? By then, you will probably be ready to be done with medical terminology, and you'll be shocked to find that we are now pressing into August, the month of August. Where did July go? All right, so our discussion topic is COVID medical terminology. This is a new one. COVID entered our world about a year and a half ago, and it has added to medical terminology, so we get to study that. We will have a discussion about medical terminology and critical thinking. We will cover chapter 21 really quickly through a lecture video. There won't be a test on it, but it's important to understand a little bit about pharmacology. you will have a final project, and that will be a medical terminology storytelling project. And before we get there, I will be asking you to let me know kind of what you've decided in terms of topic and approach and sources and things like that. So have no fear. I won't let you get to week 8 without at least considering what you're going to plan ahead of that. And then there's some extra credit opportunities. So we have all of those items to work on. Oh, and going back to week 6, I forgot to mention we also have an assignment there. It's medical terminology and its impact on patients. You'll notice that for this assignment, there's a DP here, and down here there's a DC and a DS. These are the assignments that this course uses for assessment. And that's why they're weighted so heavily, is because they show whether or not you have learned what this course is all about. And that's how part of how we assess it with that. So more to come. Didn't want to take up too much time covering the syllabus, but these are the areas that most students have questions about that I want to be able to address up here up front. I hope you're doing well.